Well, if everybody stand, and we'll have a moment of silence for Jeff Hare and Matthew, who passed away just about an hour ago. So have a moment of silence for him and Mr. Robinson, if you will, open us up for word.
Dear God, in our time of grief, we come to you for understanding, for healing, for your grace. God, we ask you to be with us through these tough times. We ask that you give us guidance and you grant us your wisdom in the decisions we make tonight. Please be with those of us we have lost today. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. We'll pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 1 is to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add 2 items to the agenda if I could. One would be under 2A, that I would like to recommend that we open school on the face-to-face blended option that we had talked about. And I'll explain exactly what all that is when we get to that. But I'd like to add that as 2B, instead of 2A, 2B. And 2C would be to recommend no out-of-state field trips until further notice due to COVID-19.
I would, on 2C, I'd like to just make, not just field trips, all travel.
Okay. Well, we
Just leave the all travel for
students.
yeah,
So we're changing it to all travel.
all travel for students.
That include athletics?
Yeah. Yes. All right, motion to add 2B is to return to school on the blended option that he will explain in just a minute. And that would be on August 20.
August 20th.
August 20. And then add 2C, which would be recommend to approve all out-of-state travel be canceled at this time until further notice. Have a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Agenda approved. And item 2 is approve the minutes to the July 7, 2020 board meeting. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
For 2B, I'd like to recommend that Randolph County School System open school on August 20th with face-to-face blended option. That would be an option where half of our kids would, in each grade would come, that are not doing virtual. Students that choose virtual would be virtual at least the first 9 weeks. Then we take the remaining students and half of them would come Monday and Tuesday for face-to-face instruction. We do a deep cleaning on the school on Wednesday, and the other half of the school students would come on Thursday and Friday. The students that are not at school on their 2 assigned days would be doing virtual from home with their classroom teacher. That will be through the new swivel technology that we have, and that will be recorded for them where they can watch it at home, they can watch it with their parents. And we think that'll be a really good thing for our parents, for them to be more involved with their child's education.
Will we do the thumb drives for the kids that don't have internet access?
I ordered 2,000 thumb drives the other day, and they approved. Well, they'll have our logo on it, so they won't be easily mistaken. There'll be some that'll have their own, but we'll have some of our own here.
John, in addition to that, Jimmy brought out a good point to me today, so, and it had to do with, we're gonna do the deep cleaning on Wednesday. And, you know where I'm going here?
Yeah.
I'll let you finish that.
Well, if we have students on Friday, we're gonna clean between then and Monday.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, have we got somebody set up, because you've been talking about late Friday night or working Saturday?
In our CARES Act plan, we have some money in there for overtime and extra supplements. You know, well, we do have these machines that came in this week. They're, so RCHS has picked theirs up and Woodland has picked theirs up. And you will be able to disinfect a classroom in about 3 minutes with one of those. And that, wouldn't that be 3 to 5 minutes, wouldn't you say, Mr. Robertson? Because you were there the day they did the.
Don't forget to do the hot bathroom.
But it'll, you know, that's gonna be a real lifesaver, you know, for those.
We got all the principals, each school. Does anybody have any questions about the principles of the blended mix, how things are gonna go, or anything like that?
I don't.
Anybody?
They've been in constant contact with us.
Do you have questions of us?
I don't know. I didn't pray for you, all I know.
Well, and the thing about the blended option, you know, the seriousness of COVID-19 is gonna be that, my fear is that school is gonna get to a point where we're gonna have to close down like we did in the spring, and we need this time for our students and our teachers to get themselves familiar with our new technology that we're coming in, and it's gonna be fantastic, you know, for us to have, but we need a little acclimation time for that, and then, you know, we'll reevaluate with the health department as they send their guidelines out, and we see how the trends are moving within the county. Right now, our trend is that Randolph County is doing a lot better as far as the number of cases and the number of tests that are coming. We've been on a downward trend for over 14 days, and we probably would have been listed a green county this month, but it was something to do with the percentages of tests and the percentages of positive. So Randolph County as a whole is doing a lot better. So I think this is the prudent thing to do right now, because our number one goal is to make sure our kids and our faculty and staff are as safe as possible.
I think we had 392 reported cases in the county.
And I believe there's 11 deaths.
10 or 11. One of
It
them
was 10 confirmed and
one's suspected.
Are we gonna talk about the date at all, or y'all still want to leave the 20th?
We can talk about the date. We think we're gonna have all of our equipment in and everybody trained by the 20th, or do we need to push that back 5 days? We have the ability to push it back 5 days if needed.
What y'all think? Y'all?
If you
Well,
ask,
Yes.
I think we could make it work coming out on the 20th, but I think that we would be more efficient at rolling everything out and more prepared if we had another week of training for my faculty and staff, because it is a lot. Like, we have thrown more webinars, and, you know, we need some face-to-face time with our teachers to train this and then collaborate together and make sure that we're there. Now, can we do it? Yes. Would we be more prepared if we could push it maybe one more week? Yes. That's my opinion. I'll defer to them.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
A lot of the reason that we haven't pulled in
Yeah,
face-to-face training is
I
because
do.
of the devices. You know, all of our devices aren't here. You know, our iPads are here for the swivels, but our swivels aren't here, so they're on the way.
And most of the feedback I've gotten from my teachers, or from my older teachers, who don't jump on the technology bandwagon really quick. So I agree with Ms. Carlisle, and I think all the other principals agreed. One more week would be great, because my teachers are scared and nervous about implementing that technology almost as much as they are of COVID-19. So
Yeah,
the training, you take the trainings and stuff that we've thrown at them in 2 weeks, and quite frankly, all of us in this room in 2 weeks, and then let them process that. And we hadn't even started discussing the new procedures of how school will even operate as far as, you know, transitioning the hallways, how we're gonna do lunch and all that. So you add that on top of the new trainings and try to get everything done in 2 weeks. It's doable, but I think it's less stress if you go. in extra.
I would amend what I would recommend is to open the school on
Following.
Well,
We only have 5 days to play with.
Yeah, so it would be
It'll
the
be
20, that Tuesday,
it'll be the-
25th.
No,
it'll be the 27th.
yeah, it's Thursday.
And I have one more question with
Okay.
that, can I ask that right now? Is that pertinent to do that? Would we start with our Thursday, Friday group on that day? I would like to do that, but, you know, like,
Well,
we would
what we
start.
originally had thought was on Thursday, the Thursday group come, and Thursday, the Monday, Tuesday group, and
Yeah.
Friday,
Well, the only reason
But
I
we
would
could-
say
we could
no
do
to
that
that
anyway.
would be not having that time in between to do what we need to do as far as the disinfecting. You know, if we're wanting to mitigate the spread and keep those groups separated, we might need to start the Thursday, Friday, and then the group the Monday, Tuesday come in.
But the following Monday's Labor Day, isn't it?
I think
Well,
so.
no,
No,
Labor
no,
Day's
no,
not
no,
till the
no.
7th.
and the reason we originally were gonna do that Thursday and
Because we were gonna
Friday,
do the
because we
traditional.
thought we would open on a
Yes.
5-day schedule, and we would do the Thursday and Friday to see how the bus routes work.
Right.
Because we're gonna have to split our bus routes up, you know, and have them split with households and things like that. So I think that would be better just to go ahead and pick up with your Thursday and Friday group, starting there.
And see, they would basically be the beginning group. And then they would do virtual Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it'd be followed by the next group, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Did that blow everybody's mind?
Right.
No, we know what you're saying.
Okay.
And the Monday, Tuesday group may end up and get hurt a little bit more than the other groups
Because you got holidays
during the
on
year
Monday.
as you end up and you lose a lot of holidays on Mondays.
So is there any way to, and I don't know, for our days, if we counted like maybe a fall, well, what are our breaks? Are we taking the whole week of Thanksgiving? Is there a fall break other than, there's not one, right?
Not a long one, because I think Veterans Day falls in the middle of the week this year.
I think it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Would it be any way, and I don't know how
That's
it's written, like you can give, it'd be a virtual, like the teachers prepare, we go ahead and say like it's a virtual break. But everything's prepared, the teachers do their time, do the assignments, the kids just do the lesson at home so that those days can count. Is that,
I'll have to check on that because
We discussed some of the e-learning breaks, but that we haven't put them in the calendar.
right. And if you do, what you may get into is if a teacher doesn't work on that virtual day, that they can't be paid for it. It's a violation of your contract. You know, they would have the total 187 days, even if they did extra hours and prepared those lessons ahead of time, they still have to work that day. So I know there
So are you talking about just students or students and faculty?
well, students and faculty, the faculty prepare ahead of time, let it
So
know,
you
because it's
have
virtual,
virtual
so it
stuff.
wouldn't be live, it wouldn't be that they're recording. Students would have their assignment, it would be counted, you know.
I think that's something Ms. Kelly would have to check on whether that would be.
So that if they're
Cindy, are you
working
saying
from home,
Teachers and that.
I may have missed that, we're speaking
For our
about the
days.
holidays, for the holidays,
Yeah.
but if it's a holiday, you can't require the teachers to work that day.
She's talking about,
That's
she's
why,
talking about like in the middle of October.
okay, I missed something, that's why I was trying to clarify, okay.
so
I think
they
Consider
would,
it a virtual fall break or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
they would
Okay.
still be contract days as long as we are still requiring them to work remotely. They're still contract days. So, I mean, I think that that's something we could
I think
do.
it's some,
That would be
let's
something
check
as a
into we're gonna have another meeting next week anyway.
Yeah, so if you wanted to have a remote break, everybody's really still in session, but we're in our homes in session. So teachers are still getting paid, kids are still learning.
Still doing work,
Yeah,
and
okay.
then you can, you know, do as you
I
need
get
to.
what you're saying. We can
So
check.
let's check into that before we,
Okay.
so let me try to.
Cause I was trying to get us after Labor Day, I was trying to. Well, we need to switch topics.
Alright, 2B, I recommend that Randolph County Schools open on August 27th for the face-to-face blended option, where half the students that are not on virtual will come on Monday and Tuesday, the other half will come on Thursday and Friday, and that will begin on August 27th.
Alright, item 2B is recommended to open blended option on August 27th, face-to-face, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And school will start August 27th. Have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
2C, recommend that Randolph County has no out-of-state travel until further notice due to COVID-19.
Item 2C is recommended that Randolph County Schools have no out-of-state travel due to COVID-19 until further notice. Have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
All right. Number 3, the resolution regarding indemnity. I talked to Mr. Mark Boardman, he's a board attorney that the system had used before. He and I were talking, and he had recommended this for me, and I being elected, but I told him, I said, that's something, and if it helps me as an elected official, it needs to help all the board members as elected officials too. Kind of helps cover yourself, and should we get into any kind of litigation where it covers your attorney fees and things like that. This is something I'd like to do for all the elected officials here for, so that's what this resolution is for.
There'll be some hungry lawyers out there over this.
Item 3 is recommended to approve the resolution regarding the indemnity. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'm gonna send this around, or when this is over with, if everybody will, it needs to be signed in blue, so everybody may not have a blue pen, I'll just, let me want back to you on mine, you may need to.
Item 4 is the superintendent's report.
All right, it's gonna be kind of long, and this can be open for discussion while we're doing this, because like I said, we're doing so much right now that, and it changes on a daily basis. We sit in here today and listen to they talked about the back to school toolkit that I sent y'all that, and Billy said he couldn't open his, didn't know. Nobody, if I have to, I'll scan mine and send it to you that particular way. It has more information than you take a stick in. And the people that talked about it today were about as confusing as it was. If you're confused when you read it, tried to, but I couldn't see any. There are some good things in there, but the part where it comes down that when students or faculty have been exposed to someone that has been exposed to COVID-19, or that has been tested for COVID-19, or has symptoms of COVID-19, it is a mess to try to figure it out. And I feel for our nurses and I feel for our administrators at the schools that are gonna have to keep up with this and the steps that are gonna have to be taken. But I do realize it's something that has to be done. We have to keep up to know where the disease is traveling and where it's doing. And it may be a lot simpler. There's a lot smarter people in this system than me that I think can probably figure this out and can share with the rest of us. But anyway, I will get that to you. I met with the high school principals and the athletic directors and coaches the other day, and we talked about athletics and how we were gonna do about it, how we're gonna handle athletic events, you know, as far as, you know, tickets and number of people there. You know, our stadiums are all open, there's a lot of extra space. RCHS has their big bank here, you know, Wadley's got a big bank. Woodland, people stand around the fence, so it's kind of hard to figure out your capacity in there, so we're gonna do a lot of signage. We're gonna do announcements as far as, you know, to have the mask that the state wants us to do, and then, you know, to work on social distancing. So we're just gonna kind of go as normally as we can with that. The high school association, they haven't said anything different, so that's where we're gonna go with that. And that'll go for volleyball too. Volleyball, you can get in the gym, even though it's indoors with 50% capacity, you can kind of spread out in the gym pretty well, where I think we'll be okay there. To go along with all other good things that we're dealing with this, our system is going through accreditation this fall. And our accreditation date is second week in December.
6th through the 10th now.
So, any of you that have dealt with education realize what goes along with accreditation, and this will be, it won't be really easy, but at least we will upload everything. We don't, right now, the team will not come here and spend time like they have in the past. But it will all be done virtually, and a lot of uploading of documents and things like that. The work is still gonna be there for our staff, and the good thing about the way we do our accreditation now is it's done system-wide. Instead of each school having to go through it, we do it system-wide, which makes it a lot easier in the long run as far as the amount of documentation. We had applied for, there was a grant that came out for a mental health coordinator for the system, and we applied for that grant, and we were awarded that grant of $40,000, so we'll be starting in the process of trying to hire us a mental health coordinator for our system to work with all of our schools. Kaylin there was some talk of that about the iPads that are coming in for all of our students, that they're currently now getting them ready to go out. But we also purchased new laptops for all of our teachers this year, because they're gonna have, at some point in time, they're gonna have to do this from home. They need a good, reliable laptop to do that, so we have those in also. Miss Bailey was even fortunate enough to get one that is a touch screen. So she thinks she's a lot more special than everybody else, because I don't think anybody else got one except Miss Bailey. So we figured if anything can last through Miss Bailey's travel, that will last well for the rest of us.
Well, if one of them gets quarantined or isolated, they could take them home.
They can actually take their swivel home with. We have some extra swivels. We're gonna have some available for like checkout at each school, to where they could take home if they needed to, and they would have their laptop. So there's a lot of good things. Like I've said before, there's some good things that are gonna come out of this. And teachers may never look the same again, but there's some good things gonna come out. The professional development for Schoology is underway. I've taken 2 classes, I think, under that, so about everybody is getting started on it, so Ms. Braden probably knows more about that because she checks all the professional development, so. A lot of our teachers are buying in, some of the teachers that are like me, a little technology challenged at time, have actually gotten on there and done well, and I'm really proud of those for accepting the new challenge. We will be doing our institute virtually this year, as opposed to everybody getting together. I know everybody likes that, to get together and see people from other schools, and people they've worked with in the past, but because of the size restriction indoors, we're just not gonna be able to have that, so we'll be sending out details to everybody for that. And all the board members y'all will be able to participate in our virtual Institute Day. I talked about our electrostatic machines that have come in. We've already given those out to all 3 of the high schools so that they can start using them in their athletic department down at football. We've always had an issue for years and years, back when I was playing in forever ago, with staff and things like that in the dressing rooms. And we actually ordered a couple of these even before COVID-19 hit, because that was the goal. We kind of helped that with the situation at Wideye Elementary when they had to close down last year because the flu got so bad. That's what got us started looking at those. So we were way ahead of the curve on getting these machines, and they're a really hot commodity at this time. I'd like to thank Donnie Knight and the EMA team over there. They provided us with masks, hand sanitizer, cleaner. My truck was just loaded up when we went over there. Coach Gibbs and I went over and got that, and they really piled it on us what they provided. You know, masks in the thousands and thousands of those. The state also has provided us 3 masks for every teacher and 3 masks for every student. We purchased a couple of masks that have our logo on it for our teachers also. And for anybody that's watching, the only thing that we require on our mask is that they meet our dress code. I'd like to thank Benji Whaley and JX Nippon, ANSI Incorporated in Roanoke. They also provided us with masks, very good quality masks that I'm going to use those for our nurses because of the quality of them. But they were nice enough to give us some of those also. I believe our teachers report, their actual first day is actually this Friday. We did put in some flex days for them because there was so much professional development this summer. They could either choose to start Friday and do all of their training, you know, on site, or they could work on it, and as long as it was documented with Ms. Braden, where they had to sign up for their hours, they could work during the summer and wouldn't have to come maybe Friday or Monday or so. Have a guy coming next week. We're going to be looking at roofs. You know, we got the bond issue. That's one of the things we're going to go ahead and try to have ready for that. They're working on some other plans for us, things that are on our capital plan that have been there for several years, but they're coming. We're going to look at the roof here at the old RCHS gym. It's leaking. That floor bucks up every year when it leaks. And out at the Career Center, Ms. Fordham has 2 roofs that are original roofs from back in 1973. And we're going to see if we can get those roofs replaced out there. So they are coming to get us started on that project. Can anybody think of anything else that we've talked about lately that you think might need to be brought out, or any questions? You do the superintendent's report, took about 2 minutes. Anyway, next thing, number 5, I'd like to recommend to approve the personnel action sheet.
Item 5, recommend to approve the personnel action sheet. Motion to approve. Motion to approve. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
No.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I do have something else, right? What I'm sending to you right now, these these are, Ms. Kelly took all the numbers, these are the numbers, and these have already changed. She did this afternoon after lunch. But these are the number of students at each school in each grade that had requested to do total virtual for this year. We're gonna talk to the pre-K people that want to do virtual. There's just not any way you can do pre-K virtually. So that's something we're gonna, but, you see right there, we had 343 students request virtual.
Pre-K not mandatory.
No. This next one I'm gonna send around right here. This is actually our, I don't think I gave y'all this earlier. This is the, our application for the CARES Act that we sent in. Since we sent this in and it got approved, the governor came out with some more money that was available, and what we did, we're gonna, CARES money, you have, 3 years to spend it. The governor came out with some more money that we got a little chunk of that had to be spent by December 31st, and actually by the 20th. So what we have done is we've taken some things, and Bethany will have to tell you what she took off of this and paid for with the other. But the things that are on this list are the things we're doing. So that will free up a little bit more money. There's about 4 different pots of money that we can get things for from CARES, and they all have different qualifications and different deadlines to get them in and to be spent by. But this is something here, the CARES one actually is the one that was the biggest pot, and is the pot that lasts the longest. So we want to make sure that we leave some money. We don't want to spend all of this money this year, because we're going to have cleaning supplies next year. Children may have, there may be some Chromebooks get stolen, we have to replace. There are things that are going to come up that we don't know about. As we can see for the last 6 months, how quickly things can change in the world. In 6 months, it could change completely for the good, or it could change completely for the worse than it is now. So we don't want to back ourselves into a hole by using it all up.
One thing I'd like to address, and it's gonna be something that probably talk to principals, and is the substitute teacher pay. Currently, was it $55?
55.
55, and,
If they're certified, it's 60.
I got you. And I know, when's the last time that's been bumped up? I just think ongoing, we're gonna have a hard time getting substitute teachers to come substitute for us for $55. I had one, and the reason it was brought to my attention, it was one from Wadley that's very dependable. She's nice, really nice lady. She said, I just don't know if I'm gonna be willing to come this year for $55. She said, I can keep one kid and make more money than that at my house. And I said, you can keep mine for that. I said, I pay more than that for my one kid. And so I think that's gonna be something that we've always taken it for granted that we've had substitute teachers, but in this, world change, and I said, we might have to look at that quicker than later before we get in trouble, especially with the virus. So I want that to be, I really, if we need to look at the money situation and see, I don't know, but I just, she brought that, but I was really couldn't believe it was still $55, to be honest with you.
Well, Darrell and I talked about it, and if they're a retired teacher or have a degree in education, they might need a little bit more. But now, I'll be truthful. If I wouldn't care for $100 a day, I wouldn't tell them that. But, $55 a day is,
Is that set by state or anything?
No,
Any guidelines?
that's
What's
the
the matter
district.
with that?
It depends on the district.
Okay,
What
that's something
private.
we could look at.
But you do need to realize that there's some COVID guidelines that we have to go by with personnel, that it's gonna cost you some money because it doesn't come out of their sick leave. We have to provide them with so many days if they are quarantined or exposed. So you're gonna have that cost as well. But yes, I agree, subs are not making enough.
Yeah.
And so that is something you need to look at.
It is probably something that, as teachers have gotten some percentage increases over the years, that's probably been stagnant for quite some time.
Tara might could share with them how many, you've got about 40 subs, is that right, still on the list?
For the regular subs, I know it's probably half from last year.
And it was 70 something, and I think we're down to about 40.
That's $7.85 an hour.
Ooh.
7 hours, $55.
That's gross.
Well, I think we should look at that sooner than later, before we get in trouble, especially this upcoming year. The last thing we want our principals to have to run around and find substitutes and calling and people say, I just ain't coming from that. So
Tomorrow, let's,
that's-
we'll check the surrounding areas and see what's going on.
Yeah, it's a little bit higher in some of the surrounding, but it's not a lot higher, but it's not enough, I agree with you.
Because our subs are invaluable to us.
They are.
Every school has, they've got a little core that they can just about call on at any time, and they're there.
yeah, that's right. And we take it for granted most of the time.
Yeah, we do.
Really,
I just thought about I think football season started August 21st. Starting the 27th, that's not going to affect.
20th, 21st.
It's not
No,
going
they
to
still
affect
play.
Not coming to school won't affect it.
No, they.
Oh, that's what I was thinking,
As
okay.
long as they're enrolled, yeah.
Enrolled, that's what I was thinking.
How will that work if a teacher, say, gets exposed by a student and has to quarantine, or the whole class has to, will the teacher have to take a sick day, or will they, is there some
they have, yes ma'am,
guidelines?
there's guidelines that I have to follow with that, and so the first 80 hours, so it would be roughly 10 days, 10 work days, we have to supply them we have to pay their regular rate of pay, and they don't take sick leave. And then after that, it can either be prorated or to like 65%, or they can start to use sick leave.
But if they're quarantined and they're not,
Same
they
thing.
can teach it, they can do it.
They can teach at home, they can.
I mean, so that they're still,
Well, and part of it's gonna depend on each situation may be different, because someone could be quarantined and they could be sick and not able to. If somebody was isolated or quarantined, and they have no symptoms, then I'm okay with that person.
But we're still gonna have to pay a sub,
Yeah,
you gotta have a warm body.
See, and that's what you end
If
up
we
with.
can get a sub.
It ends up, it costs you money, because you're paying that teacher, she's not using sick day, or he, and then you got a sub that you're paying more than $55 now. So, it's kind of a two-edged sword, but there is an option there where, teachers can be out after the second time, so, and they can take, some leave of some days, and they only get a certain percentage of their salary, and then that would kind of equal out with, you're only paying that teacher 2/3 of their salary, then some of the other salary can go toward the subs.
I just wanna make sure our teachers are taken care of,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
they shouldn't have to pay their sick days if they're, it's just I just wanna make sure they're.
Well, it's one of those where they couldn't be exposed and miss the whole school year and get paid.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
there's a
There
time,
are
there's a
As long
time
as
where,
it's 10 days
yeah,
at one
there's a time where
that's
the
not our
concept,
rule, that's a federal rule.
Let me ask you, now the trade school, we're starting 27th, Rome's starting 21st, 27th. So they're going 20th. So they're gonna have, your staff will have to be there for the Roanoke kids, I'm assuming.
Typically what we do is we run according to the county schedule. So now that I know what our decision is, I'm gonna have to call Mr. Cole and try to work out and see what we can.
and I talked to Mr. Markham about
Okay.
that the other day, the possibility of us pushing it back, so just, I'll let Mr. Markham know what we're gonna do, and then he can go ahead and talk, and then you go ahead and talk to Todd.
Okay. And the other thing is, it's my understanding that Roanoke City will be running on a traditional schedule. They had a choice of either traditional or virtual. And so we are prepared to run a regular schedule on Wednesday for Roanoke City, even though we won't have students that whole day from the county. We're still gonna just operate as a normal schedule for them, so.
That was my next question, that Wednesday, how was that?
And because we're such a small facility, we should be able to, between the afternoon of Tuesday, be able to clean and disinfect. Of course, because we have 3 different, sessions, we're gonna have to be extra diligent on our campus to clean between each classroom as well. And I don't know if we're gonna be able to do a deep disinfectant, and disinfecting as much as, all the touch areas, that kind of thing, so.
And are they gonna, the virtual students from each school will have access to trade school stuff?
We have talked about in the county, there are some options for virtual learning through Access. And so high school students that are doing virtual learning will be doing Access classes. So they will not have access to our campus. They choose virtually, they're not going to come to any campuses at all. But we're still working with Roanoke City because there was some misconception between if they chose the virtual option, they thought they could still come to Career Tech. So I'm still working with Mr. Cole on how we're going to do that. So
They could sign up for those same Access classes.
right. But now Roanoke City, it's my understanding, is not using Access. They're allowing their regular education teachers to teach virtually and not using Access.
And we've had some discussions about driver's ed where the close proximity of going ahead and teaching the classes and teaching the class virtually and then drive at a later date, or the parents could let them drive and, with the 6 hours behind the wheel. It's gonna be different.
Oh, yeah. And if y'all got any questions, we're here for y'all. That's why we're gonna try to get everybody here before school starts. And it's gonna be a tough year on everybody, especially y'all, not on us as much, but y'all in the central office. And, we're here for y'all, and whatever the students need, y'all need, we're gonna do our best to get it and do it. And that's what, it's gonna be a year like we've never had. Last year, we thought it was rough, starting school this way. Ending it wasn't that bad, but for us, starting it's gonna be a headache, I'm afraid.
Ms. Kelly,
Yes,
when will you be ready to hire by? Next Thursday?
yes, sir. We should be ready.
If everybody can, we'll send something out, we'll try to have something on the 13th, where we can get the rest of the folks hired. Kenny, as quick as possible.
Either President, anybody else got anything they want to discuss while we're here?
I had some of the same questions you had. Thank you, Bill.
On the website, the parents had to log in, did you get a good outcome on that, numbers?
That's
Those
what-
are your numbers?
That's up to you.
So,
We'll update that because
I'll keep it up.
a lot of people really,
Some of that may word expecting that it possibly could change. We sent once an announcement about one that is out there. So, but Miss Kelly's been updating it every day.
It's updated, like as of today at 12.
so we'll be doing we're gonna do a video call out like we've done before, explaining what we're gonna do so that parents really know what, they're gonna be looking at. And even though I've given you that number is probably gonna change, as far as how many people have chosen virtual. Some of those, they may have thought blended is the virtual, because it has a virtual component to it, so those numbers may change.
Do you have an anticipated date of when families will know whether or not they're Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday? Because they may need to make accommodations for childcare or something at home.
I had Margie this afternoon to run that list by tomorrow, because we're gonna divide it by, first thing we gotta do is, we're gonna look after our special population to make sure we can cover all those with our teachers. Then we're gonna divide by households. Because if you've got a kid at Wideye Elementary and one at the middle school and one at the RC, you want them to go to school on the same day. Because it may be where the older children have to look after young. So that will be that split, and then we're gonna let the computer take the rest out. We'll even let the computer split the households. And then there may have to be some hand dividing on that, depending on,
That's right.
if you've got 2 grades, if you have 2 third grades, and, the numbers just skew out where you had class had 20-something on Monday, and then it had 5 on Thursday, we would move some of those around.
So families can expect to be maybe notified by the first of next week or mid next week, is that what the hope is?
I'd say within a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I think that list can be run, but,
You'll have some.
yeah. Let's just, we'll get that as quick as we can.
Well, you'll have some that's on a bus route that may all go to one household, maybe grandma's, it's 8 kids go there, you know, after school.
And then we're gonna have, we may have, after we do that, we may have to adjust bus routes, because one bus route may be overloaded compared to another bus route. So all the bus routes may be changing this year too. Child may be riding a bus he's not used to riding, and with a different driver. But the update on our grant, all the buses that we were replacing have been taken and destroyed. We received all of our new buses, all the paperwork has been signed and sent in, so we're waiting on a check of $291,000 and some few odd dollars to get that. And that grant comes available next November. I have it on my calendar to apply again.
Anybody else? If not, motion to adjourn.
Thank y'all for coming.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Meeting is adjourned.